An Iranian cyclist competing in the Paralympics died on Saturday in hospital as a result of a horrific crash. The event was the C4 cycling road race. The cyclist was Bahman Golbarnezhad, and he died from 2 cardiac arrests while in hospital. In addition, he sustained head and neck injuries from the crash. Since the Paralympic Games first began in 1960, there have been no other fatalities. This is the first in-competition death of an athlete. Golbarnezhad lost his left leg in the Iran-Iraq War in 1988 as a result of a mine explosion. He decided to take up sports for athletes with lower limb impairments or amputations. He was not only a cyclist but a powerlifter, and he was only 48 years old when he died. The International Paralympic Committee President Philip Craven spoke about the tragedy at a press conference and said, "This is an absolutely tragic day for the Paralympic movement and the Games here in Rio." The crash happened at around 10:30 a.m. on Saturday. Bahman was coming up on a particularly steep section of the course. 35 kilometers in at a U-turn section, he lost control and crashed into the wall that was on the track. The ambulance arrived 2 minutes later, but after 45 minutes of trying, they couldn't save him in the end. He was a father, a husband, and this were his second Paralympics. He also competed at the London Paralympics in 2012. The Rio Paralympics had suffered major budget cuts as a result of poor ticket sales. Entire venues had to be closed down to compensate for the lack of attendance. Craven, Paralympic Committee President, said that in the 56-year history of the Paralympic Games, they had never faced circumstances like the ones for Rio 2016. There was some speculation as to whether the budget cuts had anything to do with the crash. According to Craven, there were no cuts that affected this. The ambulance that rushed to Bahman's side was equipped with everything needed for intensive care. Ambulances in Brazil aren't only driven by paramedics, but there was also a doctor and a nurse in addition to paramedics on board. Everything was in order and everything was done to save his life. Not sure if you guys remember, but there was also a cyclist crash during the Rio Olympics just 1 month ago. Annemiek van Vleuten was put into intensive care after she endured a terrible crash on a different course, the Vista Chinesa. She suffered from a concussion as a result of this crash. After this incident, concerns were expressed that the track was not suitable for cyclists. The C4 Paralympic road race was then held on a different course, the Grumari circuit. According to UCI Sports Director Piers Jones, levels of different functional ability are accounted for. There were several different courses being used for the paracycling road races, which reflected the functional ability of each of the sports classes. In other words, the courses were catered to the ability of the cyclists. The International Paralympic Committee is investigating the crash further to see if anything could have been done to prevent the death of Bahman. He was the only Iranian cyclist at the Rio Paralympics. His death has affected many greatly, not only his wife and son who had to be notified by phone. The Iranian President Hassan Rouhani also expressed his condolences on social media. He took to Twitter to write, "The tragic death of Golbarnezhad, our beloved cyclist during the Rio Paralympic Games, leaves all of us in sorrow." The Iranian flag was lowered to half-mast at the Paralympic Village, and a moment of silence will also be held during the Paralympic closing ceremony on Sunday, held at Maracana Stadium. Some argue that the Paralympics is a far greater test of human strength, perseverance, and the will to succeed than the Olympics. By all accounts, Bahman was a beloved family man and exemplary Paralympic sportsman, and he gave his life for his passion. Okay guys, that is all I have for you on this. I'll see you guys in another video.